The French Empire, led by Napoleon Bonaparte, expanded rapidly and won many decisive battles in the 1800s. The empire shrunk after the Battle of Waterloo. But what if the French Empire came back in the modern day? Would they be able to expand again? How would the world react to this? And would Napoleon's dreams come true? All these questions will be answered, so let's now get into the video. The French Empire has reappeared in the modern day. Multiple rebellions have brewed in many provinces from the very first day. The government cannot send its troops to deal with many of the rebellious provinces due to hostile neighbors. Luckily for France, their new emperor, Napoleon IV, is a very capable leader. Instead of dealing with the rebellions head-on, he starts spreading propaganda across the empire, much like Napoleon Bonaparte. This modern-day propaganda proves to be extremely effective as the people become very nationalistic. After a while, some forces are sent from the borders to the rebelling provinces. Now having the support from the local populace, the French army defeats the German rebellion. After this, the remaining rebellions are decisively suppressed. The empire is now stable, and the youth are very enthusiastic about further expansion. The French Empire is very strong economically, now after being stable. The empire is also very strong technologically, as the emperor focuses on building many industries across the empire. All of this results in an economic boom, and the emperor now starts focusing on building a strong and formidable military for expansion. Most of the weapons are made inside the empire, and this pisses off the United States. Most of Europe hates the French Empire, but the emperor could not care any less. The hatred finally is expressed in the form of a coalition. The United Kingdom, alongside the remaining Germany and Italy, forms a coalition against the French Empire in hopes of stopping the French before it's too late. Can this coalition defeat the French? Well, it seems that the coalition countries had severely underestimated the French military strength. The newly built French military defends the English Channel against any possible naval landing, and the French Air Force dominates the skies. It seems that the burden of winning this war now rests only on the Germans and the Italians. Months go by. The coalition hasn't made any progress. The French, realizing how weak and fragile the Germans and the Italians are, now launched their own counterattack. In only a few months, Italy and Germany are ran over. Britain signs a peace deal, but Germany and Italy are now completely annexed into the empire. Seeing the French military strength, countries around now start to militarize. Russia offers to sign a non-aggression pact with the French. The emperor also doesn't want to repeat Bonaparte's mistake, so he signs the pact. To secure its position, the French try to install puppet governments in neighboring Spain, Switzerland, and Austria either by diplomacy or military action. This campaign is led by the emperor's elder son Louis Bonaparte, who was able to install these puppet governments successfully. The two countries who refused this vassalization were Denmark and Poland. This gives the French a reason to declare war and further expand its territory into the east. The French declare war on these two countries, and the invasion is about to begin. But horrible news arrives from France. The emperor's young son, Henry Bonaparte, has successfully seized southern France, claiming it for himself. The reason is obvious. He thinks that the empire will be handed over to his older brother, Louis. Due to this event, the invasion halts, and the armies are sent to deal with this rebellion. This gives Poland and Denmark some breathing room. In only a matter of weeks, the rebellion is suppressed, and the young Henry is imprisoned on the emperor's orders. The armies are now sent back to the front lines, and they are quickly able to take all of Denmark. The Polish show a lot of resistance, but due to not having a natural barrier to the west, they are quickly overrun by the strong French military. The French get to Warsaw. The main battle takes place here. The Battle of Warsaw lasts 7 days and results in a French victory. The remaining parts of Poland surrender, and all of it is annexed. Seeing the French expansion, the major superpowers once again decide to form a coalition. The coalition includes the United Kingdom, the Nordic states, the United States, and Canada. Though the United States might have another plan in mind for later on. The war begins with the French cities getting bombed. The Empire now deploys its troops, activates both the Navy and the Air Force. With most of the army still present in Poland, the Emperor orders these troops to move into Denmark. The Royal Navy is also engaged in fierce battles with the French Navy, but neither side has made much progress. With the arrival of the French armies in Denmark, the Empire now starts the Nordic campaign. Hundreds of thousands of troops enter Sweden, and panic erupts in the entire country. The French Air Force bombs major cities in Sweden, and the French advance continues. The British Air Force, unfortunately because of being weaker, couldn't withstand the French jets. The French Air Force dominates the sky once again, and is able to enter the British skies. Major cities are bombed heavily. The Air Force also helps the French win the naval battle. This is it. The British can only go in defensive mode now. On the Nordic front lines, the Swedish forces are pushed all the way back. Stockholm is eventually captured, and Sweden falls after months of brutal fighting. The US and Canada only show some support, and even maybe tricked the United Kingdom into fighting this war alone. But in any case, with aerial and naval support, the French make a naval landing on the British soil. What hasn't happened in centuries has just happened, and the UK will fight till death. The remaining Nordic countries are sent ultimatums to be puppet states, and out of fear, they accept. Sweden is completely annexed. After many years of fighting, the United Kingdom is finally defeated. England is annexed into the Empire, and the rest of the UK serves as a puppet state to the French Empire. The coalition ends in a decisive French victory, perhaps because of the great leadership of Napoleon IV. The Emperor, now feeling confident in himself and knowing that the major powers will not intervene, decides to gain back its old African colonies. The Navy goes through another phase of upgrades. More men are recruited into the army. The preparations are complete to start the campaign, but terrible news arrives from the capital. The Emperor has been assassinated by some mysterious men at this critical time, and his rebellious son has escaped prison. This proves disastrous for the Empire. Louis Bonaparte is crowned emperor, and he wants to complete his father's campaigns into Africa. But Henry, with anonymous support, once again seizes southern France for himself. This time around, he has access to way better technology, and he has a lot of money. I wonder who's behind this. However, Louis still has the main French army and the support from all the puppet states. The Emperor acts swiftly, sending most of his armies to deal with the rebellion. With the armies preoccupied in the south, the morale of the French army at an all-time low, the anonymous country finally springs into action. Coastal cities are first bombed with stealth fighters, and the French Navy is obliterated in the Gulf. The United States. After successfully assassinating Louis, the US easily moves into France to liberate the French from the monarchy. With Henry's support, the empire falls to the US troops who want to restore the old borders. What Henry didn't know was he wouldn't get the remaining French empire. Instead, he is thrown in jail. The US restores democracy in France, and the balance of power is finally restored in Europe.